Okay, so I almost dropped my phone. Okay, my energy levels today are not at their best. Because yeah, I'm not feeling that great today. But I just needed to rent, and I felt like I needed to just share this with those that might need to hear it, because as spiritual people, um, I don't know, we find ourselves, just dealing with a whole lot of dynamics and um, a whole lot of energies and information just coming at us. And I've noticed that in the spiritual community, we've got a group of people who, the way I see it is, they like to throw the baby out with the bathwater. We've got, especially here on social media, particularly YouTube, we've got a whole group, especially on an international level, we've got a whole group of people that spiritual people, conscious people, because I wouldn't call them woke, even though sometimes it does feel a little bit like that. But I'll just say, okay, fine, conscious people. And there's different sects. There are different groups within the spiritual community or the conscious community here on YouTube, especially once again on an international level. For example, we've got the Soul Trap community, and then we've got other groups that subscribe to other teachings of various spiritual teachers. And so Tony Sayers is one of the people that believe in the soul trap concept, and he's part of the soul trap community. So whenever it is that I want to draw something from that group of people, I'd listen to his content and so on. But from time to time, there are things that I find myself really disagreeing with him on. And so today, one of the things that I'm disagreeing with him about is this whole thing of this, he calls them engineered race wars. And as I listen to him talking about this, I'm realizing that he's actually referring to, this mass immigration thing that we are dealing with. And sometimes I feel like um, Tony Sayers and I are having conversations with each other, even though we are not having conversations with each other. He'll just be posting his own content, and I'll be posting my own content, but it will seem as if we are responding to each other in some shape or form. I don't think that's intentional, and I don't think he's particularly even aware of my channel or my content or anything like that. But it just so happens to be that coincidence. So I'm disagreeing with what he's saying about the so-called engineered race wars, and I want to put certain things into perspective with regards to that. So before I say anything with regards to what he said, because there's a video that he put out on TikTok that I was just watching now that I'm responding to. Before I go into that, I want to talk about the fact that the narcissistic dark matrix, or the matrix itself, it's a system of this world, and it's the system that runs this world. And as much as all of us have done our research, and we have looked into who could be the root cause, and we know about the 13 families and a whole lot of things like that, and all these things that we have discovered, the reality of the matter is that we haven't really gotten to where we need to get to be able to just pull some kind of a trigger and completely dismantle the matrix. You understand? We haven't gotten to that point. No one has figured out how to destroy the matrix. No one has figured out how to exit the matrix. No one has figured out, at least, maybe there might be one or two people, perhaps, who knows, how to exit the matrix, but you haven't figured out how to exit it without interacting with it, as far as I have observed. And those people that could have figured out how to exit the matrix, Um, we don't know about them because they haven't come back to us and reported to say, you know what, we are out of the matrix. Here's the way to exit, and you can join us where we are outside of the matrix. For as far as we understand, no one has figured this out. This is where we are at the moment. And once again, as long as they haven't come back to us to report to us that they have exited the matrix, we are going to assume that they haven't, or else they would let us know. Why would you leave us here? So but yeah, anyway, with that being the case, what I want to say is that this is something that we need to understand as spiritual people, that when it comes to dealing with the matrix, it's it's a little bit futile to deal with it in a way where you are it's almost as if you want to ignore its existence. You want to treat it as it's something that is insignificant when it's not. The matrix is something that is here. We are operating within the matrix. We are interacting with it. The reason why we are having a conversation here on YouTube is because it's the matrix. You understand? The platform is a matrix platform. The phone is a matrix phone. Everything that we are dealing with is something that has to do with the matrix. So it's important for us as spiritual people not to try and pretend as if the matrix doesn't exist, or to even try and I don't know, want to dissociate ourselves from it or something along those lines. And why am I saying this? I'm saying this because a lot of spiritual people tend to do that. For example, for me here on my channel, I have lost a lot of following because I started talking about things that pertain to everyday life, everyday practical life, things like politics, things like mass migration problems. People have started, spiritual people have literally turned against me because for them, it's like it's all evil. And because it's all evil, we should not even be bothering ourselves about it. We should not even be entertaining it. We should not even be engaging it. And it's like, but if we are not going to be engaging it, if we're not going to be, like, what are you talking about? Because we are still physical beings. And for whatever reason, we have found ourselves born in this system, existing in this system. And for whatever reason, we are subject to this system in a very, very large part. There's very little escape when it comes to dealing with the system. You live in a country that, by virtue of you living in a particular country, you are living in the system. You are existing, you are operating within the system. So why would you want to pretend otherwise? Why would you want to ignore the very things that are part and parcel of the very system that gets to determine what happens to you in your life? Because it does. The system gets to decide, what kind of food you eat. The system gets to even decide the weather. You understand? The system gets to decide so many things about your life. Why would you not want to understand how the system works, even at a practical everyday level? Why would you want to ignore that? Because as spiritual people, for us to do that, we do it at our own detriment. We cannot go and live in the forest. We cannot go and live, because even in that forest where you are living, somewhere, somehow, the system might still find you there. Somewhere, somehow, the system might still come for you there in the forest. You still need to understand in what way can you operate within the system, or at least interact with the system without the system significantly negatively impacting you. Because let's face it, it's not like the system is not going to negatively impact you in some shape or form. It is going to do that. So this video that I'm watching now of Tony Sayers, he's talking about, he says there are engineered race wars that we are dealing with. And he's referring to this mass immigration issues because all over the world, every country is, protesting against mass immigration. All right. And so the way he sees it, he believes that this is something that is engineered by the powers that be, because they want us to fight against each other. And my take on that is that, okay, that's possible. That's possible. I'm not going to say it's not possible, because I will not put anything past the people that are in charge, and the forces that are behind them. I will not put it past them. However, just because that could be the case, does that now mean we have to ignore the problems that are at our doorstep? Does that now mean just because mass immigration problem has been engineered, we have to now pretend it does not exist? It's just like when you have an illness and it's an illness that someone has created. Just because someone has created that illness, does it mean you have to pretend that it doesn't exist now? So, this is the thing about spiritual people that sometimes rubs me off the wrong way. When we start now looking at things and say, oh, just because it's a man-made thing, that doesn't mean we need to pay attention to it. That doesn't mean it's not a problem. So he says they are using divide and conquer tactic so that they can, run off with whatever agenda that they are trying to run off with. And so they're deliberately creating chaos so that they can later create order. Once again, it's possible. I'm not disputing that. However, just because that's the case, does that mean we should be ignoring this problem? That, many of us, or, a whole lot of those countries that are busy protesting at the moment, are having millions and millions of people just flooding into our countries and causing a whole lot of chaos. And not to mention the amount of crime that comes with it. Not to mention the deterioration that takes place to our countries as a result of it. Not to mention the harm that occurs to us as a people and our children as a result of it. Are we now supposed to pretend that that doesn't exist? That's absolutely not fair. And it's impractical for anyone to expect us to approach the situation from that perspective. He also says the media wants everyone to hate each other. It's trying to get everyone to hate each other. Okay, let's quickly greet people here who are Mashia Gabara. Hello, welcome. Welcome, Mashia. I'm not sure what Zoro means, but hello. So he says the media is trying to get us to fight each other, telling us that our children are being raped and stuff. And I don't know about whether it's the media, because here in South Africa, the media has been suppressing people for a long time who have been speaking out against this mass immigration issue. Because for me personally, I've only woken up to this mass immigration issue this year. You understand? It's only been a few months that I've been awake to this thing. The whole time I've been sleeping as a spiritual person, enjoying my own la la land as a spiritual person, enjoying the high vibrational frequencies. So I haven't been paying attention to what has been happening in my country. My country has been burning for the past few years, and I haven't even been paying attention to, I haven't been aware of the level of deterioration that my country has gotten to, because I have been too focused on my spirituality. All right. And so I'm not proud of myself. I'm definitely not proud of myself for that, but that's the reality of the situation. And then when I woke up to this situation, I realized that no, actually for a while, South Africans have been speaking out against this mass immigration problem. And with that being the case, the media has in fact been trying to silence the citizens. And here in South Africa, not only is the media doing that, but even our own government is doing the same thing as well. So when you go out into the street as a citizen, you will see it, you will witness it for yourself, what is happening. Everyday life, you are able to see, as part and parcel of that, you are able to see what is happening as a result of this mass immigration problem. Children are disappearing every day. People have been given into drugs. The country has fallen apart. When you go out of your house, majority of the people that are walking on the street, they are not part of your people. They are people from elsewhere. You don't know who they are. You don't know where they're coming. And many of them are men. And some of them, they look like they are construct workers or people who are working, in the community, maybe building houses, but you don't really know what exactly are these people doing there and what's happening with them. But one thing that's for sure, you don't feel safe. The shops are owned by people that are not your people, the local shops. So basically, everything, our country is foreign to us here in South Africa. Okay, we have been taken over. There are places where even as soon as start entering into those particular parts of the country, it's a whole community of people, thousands upon thousands of people. They are not your people. They are not people from this country. And it's vast parts of our country. It's not just small portions of our country, vast, huge parts of it. It's people that are not from here. You don't know where they're coming from. And one thing that's for sure, they are not legally here. So this is what is happening. This is what we are experiencing on the ground. And the crime rate. Our country is one of the countries with the highest crime rate levels. And it's not that South Africans are violent, because I can tell you now, as someone that is spiritual and as someone that is constantly looking for evil, as someone that is constantly grappling with evil, I understand South Africans very well. And one of the things that I know about South Africans is that they are not very, very violent people, unless if you push them, unless if you force them. There is a certain group of people that have, a bit of a tendency towards violence, which is the Zulu people and the colored people. But even they themselves, they know how to contain that type of criminality. Actually, not criminality, excuse me, that type of violence. They know how to contain that. But the level of violence and crime and, horrors that we've been seeing lately in this country, it's foreign to us. So this is what we are seeing. This is what we are witnessing. It's not something that's necessarily being reported by media. In fact, this is something that we as citizens are sharing amongst ourselves via social media. Very rarely is it that you'll find that, the media reports these things properly, accurately. Because the reason why our country is now one of the highest with regards to crime is not because of South Africans. It's because of other people that are coming from other places. All these horrors that you keep hearing about South Africans, majority of them, like literally 99% of them, they are committed by people that are coming from other places. But when these reports are being made, you won't hear that, no, it's actually other people from other parts of the world. You'll always hear it as it's South Africans that are doing this. It's happening in South Africa. So the evil that we are dealing with in the world is one that is expecting us to pretend as if none of this is happening or to be okay with it. Just one second for me. Let me just take a sip of water. So he says the media is trying to get us to hate each other as a people. No, the media is not trying to get us to hate each other. In fact, the media all over the world is generally trying to push for this agenda. The media is trying to get people to accept this mass immigration thing. The media wants us to, become a global citizenship type of people. That's what the media wants us to. The media wants us all to blend in together and become one global family. That's what the media wants us to do. And, at a distance or at first glance, it sounds great. But when you understand that this is the agenda of the one world order, the final agenda, then you will understand that there's every reason to actually retaliate against it. There's every reason to push back against it. So the media is not trying to get us to fight against each other in this regard. The media wants us to agree, wants us to acquiesce, wants us to accept this thing. When they band together and they said, here's an illness that, God knows they have manufactured it. Here's an illness there, and here's a solution there. They band together nicely in the same way they've band together to try, force us, coerce us into this thing whereby we are all living together in, as one global happy community. But the thing is that it will never happen. It can never happen because it's not a positive agenda for humanity, that one. Because in order for that, one of the things that needs to happen for that to take place is for a huge chunk of humanity to be removed from this world. So the media is not trying to deceive us or trying to tell us, no, 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 fight against each other. No, the media is trying to get us to unite with people that we do not want to be united with. And we ourselves on the streets are witnessing the reality of the situation. The media is trying to tell us, no, everything is okay. This whole mass immigration thing is not a big deal. You are fussing over nothing. But we on the ground are able to see that this mass immigration thing is a big, big problem. Okay, so he has his facts twisted where that's concerned, as far as I can see it. Okay, so then he argues and says, but you are saying that because he says the media tells us that people are raping our children and stuff, and he's talking about immigrants. Basically, he says that the media is telling us that immigrants are doing horrible things to our children and doing horrible things to us as the citizens of specific countries that are retaliating against this mass immigration issue. But here's the thing. That's not what's really going on here. The media is not telling us those things per se. We ourselves on the ground are witnessing it. These people are doing these things. We are seeing them every day. You understand? Our children are buying their foods and then they are being poisoned. We are witnessing this. They are dying. They are falling sick. Horrible things are happening in this world. Horrible things are happening in our country. Things of horror movies. We are witnessing them here in South Africa. It's not something that is coming from the media. It's everyday life, everyday experience that we are having here. And so he says, the media is telling you that the immigrants are doing that. But what you don't understand is that governments have been doing this. Government has been trafficking people the whole time. Royalty have been trafficking people the whole time. For years, they've been doing all these horrible things. And it's true. It's true. Corporations have been doing it, he says. The elites have been doing this, he says. It's true. I agree with him. This is all my opinion and everything, allegedly and whatever, for the sake of YouTube. But we all know that this is something that has come to light to us recently. And he says, why are we not retaliating when governments are doing these things? Why do we only retaliate when it's immigrants that are doing these things? And my response to that is that, number one, we have only just recently found out that the governments and the elites have been doing these things. The whole time we didn't know. We just only recently discovered and began to understand the level of evil that has been running this world. And as soon as we started understanding the level of evil that is running this world, is when we started also waking up to the level of horrors that we are dealing with. Because you need to understand, here in South Africa, every single person is living in fear. Because you never know when is it that your day is going to come when some kind of horrible crime is being committed against you. This is how we are living in South Africa. You are not safe. That's how crime has been normalized in our country. So how on earth are we going to be even focusing on retaliating against the government when on the street every single day you are facing an evil? So we are not going to be focusing on addressing the issues and the ills that the governments have been committing up there on top, when here on the ground, every single day, we are dealing with an evil that needs our immediate attention. So we are going to be focusing on this immediate evil that we are dealing with. Our country has been transformed. Everything has been turned upside down right in front of us. And it's all because of mass immigration. And yes, the governments have allowed this to happen. But we are not going to be able to address our government whilst every single day we are busy running for our lives. So we need to get rid of this mass immigration issue first. Then we can have a family meeting with our governments to address all the evils and all the ills that they have been committing against us as their citizens. But we can't ignore what these people are doing in our countries and start focusing on what the governments are doing up there. Because here's the thing. Here's what we are dealing with as South Africans. One country 53 continents in Africa, they are all here in our country. 53 countries, pardon me, 53 countries in one continent, Africa, they are all here in South Africa. And then over and above those 53 countries that are here, and they're not here by just one person, two people. Oh, very few countries are we dealing with one or two people. No, like it's literally anything from 100 to millions. Millions. Some countries, we probably have about 10 to 20 million of them in our country. And it's not just Africans that we are hosting here, but we are hosting other people from the West. We are hosting other people from Asia, even from Australia. Everyone is here in South Africa. So what are you expecting of us to do as South Africans? Are you now saying we as South Africans should now be dealing with the elites of the world, the governments of the world, all of them addressing them for what they are doing, instead of addressing the very thing that we are dealing with on the ground here? Every single country needs to deal with their own leaders. Let every country deal with their own leaders. Let us as South Africans deal with our own leaders. But the first thing that needs to happen is that we need to get rid of immigrants, mass immigrants. We need to get rid of them. We need to remove this thing. It would have been one thing if these people were coming into our countries and adding great value. And but even then, still, why should it be mass immigration? Why? Why can't it just be just a few people that are coming in? Why does it have to be whole countries coming to our country? Because that creates an absolute imbalance in every single thing. So we need to, eliminate this whole mass immigration problem, because it's a big problem. It's a huge crisis. We need to deal with this first. And then after dealing with it, then we can deal with our governments. So that whole thing of, they are trying to divide and conquer us and all of that. No one is trying to divide and conquer us. No one is, because no one is telling this, unless if there's something else that's happening that we are not aware of. Maybe we can address that as well. But at the end of the day, we are dealing with people on the ground who deliberately and intentionally come into our country and cause chaos, commit crime, bring harm upon our people. That's what we are dealing with, and that's what we're needing to address here. So it's not someone else who's creating divide and conquer. These people are doing this, and if someone is making them do it, they are still, they still do have a right to agree or not to agree with regards to that. So they are doing it. They are doing it. They are allowing all these horrible things to happen because they are doing it. They are coming here and doing all those things. Someone is paying you to go cause harm to someone else. You have a right to say no. And then they say, no, I'll kill you if you don't do it. You still have a right to say no. It's still up to you. And I really don't believe that someone is pointing a gun at these people's head to say, go and destroy South Africa or go and destroy those countries or else I'm going to harm you. I really do believe that these people are coming out of their own free volition for whatever reason. And when they come here, they know exactly what it is that they are doing. They know that what they're doing is a crime. They know that they've come in illegally. They know that there's supposed to be consequences for their behavior. It's deliberate. No one is making them no one is doing divide and conquer. And if anyone is doing it, at the end of the day, these people are consenting to it and they are acting upon it of their own volition. So once we've dealt with this, then we can deal about, the powers that be. Then we can address Catholic Church and the evils that they have done. We can address everyone else that needs to be addressed. Different countries will address their own leaders for whatever it is, and also different countries will address different leaders. If, for example, your leaders have somehow offended my country previously for whatever reason, and there needs to be some kind of address with regards to that, then we'll deal with all of those things. But for now, every country needs to deal with its own issues. Every country needs to deal with its own problems. And then he says, the British Empire has so much to... Let me just quickly greet some people here. Wyan plays. Hi, Wyan. Wyan plays. Wyan plays. So he says the British Empire has so much blood on their hands. So basically, what he's saying is that we need to be angry at the British Empire and leave the immigrants alone, or I don't know, maybe focus more on the British Empire and then not too much on the immigrant. I'm not sure what exactly is it, what point is it that he's trying to bring here. And then this is when I said I'm going online. I want to talk about this thing because this is one of the things that is being used to manipulate humanity right now. Let's go back once again to the matrix. Okay, the matrix is an evil system. So if you are in the matrix and you are operating in the matrix, especially if you are on top, you are definitely one of those evil people, and you are definitely playing an evil game, and you have no choice but to play that evil because that's the stage, that's how it's been set up. The only way for you not to play the evil games is if you get out of the matrix. But the question is, where do you go outside of the matrix? You understand? So that's the premise that has already been set up here. Okay, this is something that we need to understand, that for whatever reason, at least over the past let's say 300 to 400 years, this is the system that we've been dealing with, this matrix system. And it's an evil system. I don't want us to, try and deceive ourselves about the situation that we are dealing with, trying to think that this system is more benevolent than it is. No, this is an evil system. The political, economical, whatever system that is at work, and it's beyond just political and economical, because it's also spiritual as well, and a whole lot of other things that are involved there. But this is an evil system. This is an evil game that is being played in this world. So, with that being the case, another thing that we also need to understand is that there's a lot of evil people in this world, and in fact, majority of people in this world are evil. This is something that we need to understand. So generally, this world is evil. All right. Generally, this world is evil. Generally, human beings, a lot of human beings are evil. You understand? So this is the premise that we are working with here. And so over the past 300 to 400 years or so, there's been a war that has been waged by humanity for resources, for geographical spaces, and for a whole lot of horrible things. You understand? For power, for global power, there's been a war for these things. So everyone has been fighting. There's been some kind of a land grab situation that has been going on. And yes, Britain, for whatever reason, came out on top because I suppose they were, the most cunning of them all. They came out on top where that war is concerned. But does that mean they are evil, whereas other people are nicer than them? This is what we need to address here. Okay. Are we now trying to say that just because Africa lost the battle, that means they are innocent, whereas Britain, just because they won the battle, that means they are evil and they are the devils of this world? I beg to differ. I beg to differ where that's concerned. Generally, these people are evil in this world that exists, especially the people that are in charge, leaders. It doesn't matter what race they are. Generally, these people are very evil. Let's talk about Africa, because Africa wants to claim innocence just because they are the loser in this battle that has taken place. And you know what? It hurts me because Britain has a whole lot of horrors and atrocities that it has committed against humanity. You understand? It pains me to be able to say what I'm going to say now, but I'm going to say it nonetheless. Let's talk about Africa. Africa has had its own fair share of, because he says Britain has blood on its hands or in its hands. That's what he says. But here's the thing. Africa has blood in its hands as well. You understand? The difference between Africa and Britain and other countries is that Africa, the blood of Africa has the blood that Africa has in its hands is more of its own people than any other group of people. You understand? Slavery is something that Africans have been doing for a very long time. You understand? And they've been enslaving their own people. Okay. African leaders have been enslaving their own people. They've been killing their own people. They've been human sacrificing their own people. And they still do it even now. You understand? There are certain rituals in the African community that have to do with you have to kill your own blood person in order for certain things to happen for you. This is something that Africans do not want to talk about. They do not want to address. But this is what Africans do. And Africans have been fighting territorial wars for a very long time as well. Africans have been fighting wars over territory. They've been fighting wars that have to do with tribalism. You are this tribe, you are that tribe. I'm going to kill you. Just like everyone else. It just so happens that when it comes to this global war, or this, global power and this war against the West, Africa lost. But this does not mean that just because Africa lost, it does not mean that they are the most innocent, the most purest, the most kindest, or anything of that nature. Does not mean it. Okay. It just, all that it means is that we lost the war. That's all that it means. And can dynamics change? Can things change? Dynamics can change. Things can change. For example, what we see happening in North Africa right now, it's a nice thing. France is crying because now Burkina Faso and all the other countries that France has been, robbing, daylight robbery. Now those countries are taking back their power. So the dynamics can be changed. And so the leader of Burkina Faso is playing this game exactly how it's supposed to be played. You understand? He's not doing some other strange thing. He is playing it exactly because it's the matrix. He's understanding the mission and assignment to say, this is the matrix. This is how they play the game. Okay, so I'm going to play the game as well in the same way. That's what he's doing. He's not playing innocent. He's not playing victim. He's saying, oh, okay, this is what has happened. This is the dynamic. How do I change it? And he's changing it. So why can't all the other leaders of other African countries do the same thing? What they do instead is abuse, loot, and literally destroy their own countries and then play innocent, cry victim, and then complain that, no, it's the West that has done all these horrible things to us. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous to make that argument. Britain has blood on its hands, so much blood on their hands. Everyone else does as well, okay? Everyone else has blood on their hands. Every other country has blood on their hands. It's not just Britain that has blood on their hands. Yes, they've stolen and looted everything and they've done all these horrible things and everything. Yes, they have. That's true. But everyone else is guilty. Especially the people that are in charge, especially the leaders of all these countries. Everyone is guilty in this game. No one is innocent. No one has clean hands. Everyone has blood on their hands. So just because Britain is the one that is most prominent, so that means we want to make it the most evilest. We understand, yes, we are aware of the fact that, yeah, the families, the satanic families and whatever, they could have something to do with Britain and all those things. Yes, that's possible. And it's highly likely the case. It's highly likely the case. But does that mean that all the other groups and all the other countries, they themselves are innocent, they themselves are clean, they themselves are not working with demonic and satanic spirits? I don't believe that that's the case. I really don't. And then he says, Australia having their flag, waving their flag, he says, Australia is waving their flag. And, Australians, as they're busy waving their flag against mass immigration, they don't understand their history because, they are not the real, original owners or the original citizens of Australia. The original citizens of Australia are the Aboriginals, he says. The original citizens of Australia are the and that's true. I agree that the original inhabitants of Australia are aboriginals. But here's the thing. Here's the thing that we need to understand. Once again, going back to this whole thing of, um, so now just because you are an Australian and you are not an Aboriginal, that means you are supposed to accept mass immigration into your country because after all, this is not your country; it belongs to the Aboriginal. That logic is flawed. And it's very easy to miss it the minute you start pressing the buttons of no, but you remember you stole the country from the other people and everything. Remember, there was a war for whatever reason. That war was there. Was it right? Of course not. Was it a good thing? Of course not. But did it happen? Yes, it did. And did we all accept that it all it happened and it is what it is? Yes, we did. We accepted it for what it is. It happened. It happened. We were all colonized at some point, and things changed at some point, and all of those things. It is what it is. This is how this matrix has been rolling itself out. So, over the past 200 years or so, Australia has been a country that has been run by the people that have been running it, the people that we call Australians now. I suppose they are white people. Those are the people that have been Australians this whole time together with the Aboriginals. That's what has been happening there. That's what has been the case. So, and with that being the case, you can't now, all of a sudden, just because a whole lot of mass immigrants want to come over and take over your country, and when you start waving your flag, now you start saying things like, no, Australians are not the real owners of the country anyway, because the country belongs to Aboriginals and all. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. All this time, we had accepted that, oh, these people are Australians. They are Aussies. That's what you call them. The whole time, they've been identifying as that. You have not been complaining. You've been okay with it. All of a sudden, just because you want to create this whole mass immigration problem, now you are pressing manipulation buttons and starting to talk about things like, no, but what about the Aboriginals? Here's the thing. Are those mass immigrants going to save, are they there in Australia to save the Aboriginals? Are they there to reinstitute the Aboriginals as the true owners of Australia? Are they going to fix the problem or whatever it is that has occurred between the white Australians and the Aboriginals there in Australia? Are they there to do that, or are they there to literally just take advantage of whatever it is that they can take advantage of? Because as far as I know, these people do not give a damn about the people of those countries. And one of the reasons why I'm so glad that we as South Africans have had first experience of this mass immigration problem is that we get to see that even our black people here in Africa, they do not care about us. Mass immigrants do not care about the people of the land that they are going to. They go there to steal, kill, and destroy. That's that. They don't. They are there for the plunder. They are here. They are always there to take what they can take and then take it back to their countries. Sometimes they don't even go back to their countries. They will stay there. But whatever it is that they do, they create a setting that feels like you've got a pest infestation. Because things will just start collapsing and falling apart and deteriorating and decaying. And it will feel like some kind of a terrible curse has befallen you. Okay. Particularly, and I'm going to be honest here, and it's going to sting a little bit, but I'll just be blunt about it, particularly Africans. Okay. That's pretty much what we have experienced here in our country. So I know for a fact that they don't give a damn about us as Africans. They're fellow Africans. They've killed our children. They kill us. They do all these horrendous things and traffic our children. You don't understand what these people have done to us in South Africa. You have no idea. For 30 years, we have been patient, we have been kind, we have been hospitable. I mean, you don't understand how much we embraced these people when we first started, receiving them. We absorbed their cultures, their music, their movies, everything, because we thought they were our brothers and sisters. Little did we know the level of destruction that they had planned for us. So I know for a fact that they're in Australia, them wanting to go there, it's not because they want to go there to any value. They're not there to add any value. They don't care about the Aboriginals of Australia. They care nothing about the Aboriginals of Australia. They want what they want, and they want to get it by all means. And this is an invasion, and this needs to be treated as such. You need to understand it for what it is. This is an invasion. It unlike, your typical invasion when people are victims, we are refugees of this and this problem and all of those things and everything. And typically, majority of the time, these people that are coming at those countries are the ones that are actually the culprits in whatever conflict they could be dealing with. And yes, sometimes it's not the people themselves who are the culprits in that situation. And that's why they even push and promote this thing of their citizens going away. We here in South Africa, as the citizens, we do not leave our country. We do not run away. We stay, we die here in our country, and we die for our country. That's what we do. We that whole thing of wanting to go to other countries just because our country is bad, we fight for our country. We want to fix, we do everything in our power to fix whatever problems that exist in our country. But this is not what we see with other countries out here in the world, particularly our fellow Africans. No, instead of them wanting to fix their countries and everything, they come here and assert their rights in South Africa. So don't buy into that whole crap of white people are not original Australians. It's a manipulation tactic. And it's disappointing that it's coming from a spiritual person. And I don't even know what point was Tony Sayers trying to bring across with whatever it is that he was saying here. Honestly, I have no idea what point he was trying to drive across here. Because for me, it indicates how out of touch with the reality of the situation he is. Because ultimately, just because 200 years ago this thing happened, we had already accepted it. We've moved past that. And once again, if there's any issue that needs to be addressed between the Aboriginals and the white people of Australia, that's something that they can do with their family meeting. Let them deal with each other there in their own country there. Don't bring mass immigrants into the whole situation. What does that have to do with anything? It's just like what happens here in South Africa as well. All the time you keep hearing this thing, mass immigrants, they will come here in South Africa, and then when people are standing in public clinics there and telling them that immigration law says you're supposed to have medical insurance, you're supposed to go to a private hospital, you can't be using public health facilities here in South Africa. If it's a white person that's telling them that, these immigrants will be busy saying, and this is a foreign illegal, like this is an illegal foreign national. They'll be saying to the person, oh no, who are you? You are also a foreigner. You are a foreigner here because you are white. You don't belong. You are apartheid. You don't belong here because you are white and all of this. And it's like, that's the thing. That's that manipulation tactic that is being used all over the world. In the same way as, it's being used everywhere. For example, I want to talk about France. Okay. Because we know that France has been really horrible, taking about 80% of African countries' income. And I mean, that's really, really horrible. That's terrible. Okay. And so, as I said, the African countries are correcting this error. However, even with that being the case, when it comes to resisting mass immigration, I'm still with France. I'm still with the people of France, because I know that Emmanuel Macron will probably want this mass immigration to take place, because it's the kind of chaos that he needs to hide his true flaws and failures. So I am with the people of France to say, yeah, continue to resist. Fight it, resist it, refuse it. You understand? Refuse it, resist mass immigration. Whatever it is that needs to be dealt with when it comes to the crimes that France has committed against other countries, it can be handled another way, not through mass immigration. And France is getting enough punishment as it is with what the African countries are doing. And if they want to implement even more punishment on France for that reason, it is up to them. You understand? However, when it comes to mass immigration, I am saying definitely French people, France people, they need to resist this thing. Every country, it doesn't matter. Britain, it doesn't matter. Do not buy into this nonsense that says you've got blood on, everyone has blood on their hands. Africans have done horrible things to people, to their own people out here in Africa. Everyone has blood in their hands. People in the East have blood. People in Asia have blood in their hands. So there's no such thing of no. You are the West people, therefore you should accept mass immigration. You stole all these things from us, therefore you should accept. No, that's not the way to fix it. Mass immigration is not going to fix those things. It's going to make the situation even worse. It's when a toxic person wants to abuse you and wants to make you feel guilty and wants to make you feel like you deserve the abuse that you are getting. If they really want to resolve the issues of the past, if they really want to resolve the injustices of the past, there's a way to address those injustices without doing this mass immigration thing. This mass immigration thing is just an invasion disguised as something else. As no, we are just innocent people just trying to find ourselves. No. You should come to South Africa and see what has happened to our country so that you can understand. We've got the South African Human Rights Council, that all the people on top, none of them look like they are citizens. All of them, they look like they are foreigners. And guess what they are doing? They are pushing the agenda of foreign nationals, illegal foreign nationals here in South Africa. Every single step, every single action that citizens of South Africa are taking towards protecting and defending our country, South African Human Rights Council pushes back against it. Fighting and defending the rights of illegal foreign nationals in our country. You understand? This is what has happened to our country. Critical government and leadership positions and institutions have been infiltrated by foreign nationals. They are pushing a completely different agenda for our country. And as I said, that's not all. Even on the ground, every day, our communities, literally everywhere you go, you're either dealing with, there's at least about 30% of the population of that group is foreigners, is people from other places. Every community, at least about 30% of it, is foreign nationals. And then there are places where it's completely foreign nationals. And as I said, once again, it looks horrible. The country looks horrible. It looks terrible. All right. So everything has deteriorated. So if you want that to happen to your country, accept mass immigration. Accept it. Be okay with it. Be okay with all these funny people. You know them. You see them when they come. You see them. There's an energy about them. There's a way that they move that it tells you what kind of energy, what kind of agenda these people are coming with here into your country. You know that it's not a positive one. I want to say, because okay, let me just quickly say this point and then I'll close. So finally, he says he wants to kick the passport to the curb. This is what Tony says he wants to do. He wants the passport to be kicked to the curb, meaning he doesn't want us to have this nationality thing, meaning he wants the global citizenship, I guess. See, this is where I don't get along with this kind of people. You understand? Because I believe in nationalism. I believe that right now we are not in a position as a world, as a humanity, as a collective, we are not in a position to do that whole thing of, no, let's all live together, kumbaya. Like there's this whole Africa Unite agenda that is being pushed upon South Africa here in Africa. And I don't know, they keep saying, let's Africa unite, but they've already decided. They didn't really give us a choice because, millions of them are here. They are all here uniting in South Africa. But they keep telling us, let's Africa unite. They've already decided to unite without our consent in our country. Okay. And so I don't buy that whole thing because, it's usually meant to literally just take full advantage of the countries that have something to offer. And so it's the countries that have nothing to offer that want to unite with the countries that have something to offer. And it would have been good if they were adding some kind of value. But all that's happening is that we are being like plundered. We've got people that have businesses here. Those business, the entire supply chain is something that is operating parallel to the true economy of the country. They've got their own manufacturers. They've got their own, like literally the products that they are selling, which are typical grocery products. They produce those things themselves, and some of them are food products. And those food products are produced in factories that are dirty, they are full of rats. And I mean, those are not hygienic places at all. And then those products that they are producing, they are selling them to our children. All right. None of those businesses are registered, paying tax, or doing anything. They are literally running their own parallel economy. And whatever money that they are making from those things, God knows where it's going, because these are foreign nationals from countries that are typically known to be the kind of countries that are associated with terrorism and things like that. But one thing that's for sure, that money is not coming to South Africa. They even have their own petrol supply, their own petrol and diesel suppliers. So they're not getting whatever their products, their everything. They even have their own employees, their own staff, and usually they bring them from their own countries. So they come here, they take our money, but they're not bringing anything into the country. If anything, they contribute very, very little to the economy in comparison to the amount of money that they make from our country. So if you want this to happen to your country, then it's fine. Go ahead. Let them in. Let them come. Let them manipulate you with all this manipulation that they keep throwing. If you are a white country, they will tell you about how that white people have oppressed black people. They are very good at that. If you are a black country, they will tell you about how that you are xenophobic, it's black on black crime and everything. You understand? If you are Australian, they will tell you how that you are not Aboriginal. So they always have an answer for you. And yet they claim to be innocent victims of horrible things that are happening in their countries. And they are desperate to, be accommodated by you. But just let them into your country. As soon as they get there, you will hear their mouths. And here in South Africa, that's very strange to us, because we understand very well that if you are desperate and you have no place to stay, you best keep your mouth quiet. You best, literally, if you are going to be staying in someone else's house because somehow you've been chased where you are coming from, you are desperate, then you're going to be very humble. You're going to be very humble and very respectful to the people that have your hosts, the people that are accommodating you. But this is not the case. These people, they are illegal foreigners. They are apparently desperate. They are here for opportunities. But I tell you, the level of arrogance, disrespect, and just aggressiveness towards South Africans is appalling. It's just something else. It's something like you will not believe that these are actually people that are desperate. These are people that came here because they come from a war-torn place, or they are poor, because that's the manipulation that's always being used on us. Oh no, you don't understand where they come from. It's so poor. Sometimes they'll even show you pictures about where they're coming from. It's so horrible. This is why they're in. But when they come here, when they are here, you should hear how they talk. This is someone who's desperate, apparently, whose life is between, life and death kind of a situation, whose health is between life and death. But the things that will be coming out of that person's mouth, mind you, this person is fighting for their rights here in South Africa, the very same rights that their very own country has deprived them of. So if you want this to happen to your country, go ahead, let them come. Let them come by the numbers, by the millions, and then let them, tell you all the way that you are white and it's your fault that they are in the position that they are in. Let them do that. Let them manipulate you as they want. Before you know it, they'll be the president of your country. Before you know it, they will literally be turning your country upside down. Your country will be unrecognizable to you. This is what we are experiencing here. What I wanted to say in closing is that so anyway, this whole passport thing, it's not going to work. Okay, let's do away with the passport thing. Let's this exposes Tony Sayers a little bit, because clearly he's pushing the one world agenda as well. We still need nationalization, because we can still unite as a world whilst we are still, sovereign nations. We need the nationalization thing, because it's how we are able to have our own sovereignty as different groups of people. This experiment that has taken place over the past 30 years here in South Africa, with everyone from all over the world literally living in our country, we've had first experience of what it's like to have this one world global thing. And we know that it's absolute BS. Okay. We know that it will never work because there are some people whose cultures are not meant to come together. You understand? There are some cultures that will never ever blend. There are some cultures that are good enough from a distance. Like for example, South Africans and Nigerians are not really supposed to do this, whatever it is that we've been doing over the past. We are not meant to have that kind of a relationship, live together. We are not supposed to do that. Nigerians are supposed to stay all the way in West Africa, and we are supposed to stay here in South Africa. You understand? South Africans and Zimbabweans will never get along. You understand? This is something that we have begun to understand. So here's the thing, to you who are in the West, you think you can get along with all these other groups of people. Meanwhile, we as Africans are struggling to get along with each other like this. You understand? And they'll say, oh, South Africans hate other Africans. No, if we hated other Africans, we wouldn't have allowed this to happen for the past 30 years. They've been killing us, they've been destroying us, they've been doing horrible things to us for the past 30 years, and we've been quiet about it. We've been quiet. We're only speaking now, 30 years later. And this is the gratitude that we are getting from these people. They are saying to us, we hate them after everything that we have given them. Free health, free education, free everything, without them being documented. They were illegal the whole time. But we still allow them to have all these wonderful things. Only now are we realizing, oh my gosh, these people are destroying us. Meanwhile, they are actually leeching off of us at the same time. What is going on here? This is not a reciprocal relationship. So, and this is how we begin to understand that, oh, okay, actually, some cultures are not meant to live together, to coexist. They are not. Some cultures are meant to be literally as far away from each other as possible. And so it's important for us to understand that's why it's important to be different nationalities. You stay in your country, I stay in my country. We can see each other on social media. We can trade with whatever it is that we need to trade from country to country. But that whole thing of us living together, let that not happen. Let each country have its own sovereignty, its own nationality, and let each country do its own thing. You understand? Some countries, for example, what I noticed is that certain countries, particularly here in Africa, they love tyranny. You understand? They understand that language. They respect that language. One of the things that I notice and realize is that the type of leadership that Mnangagwa, the Zimbabwean president, and Tinubu, the Nigerian president, the type of leadership style that they offer these people, their people love it. They're okay. They prefer that. They prefer leaders to be like that. They respond well and positively to that type of leadership. But when it comes to our type of leadership, which is very soft and very, very, very docile, or I don't know if I should call it docile or I don't know, passive type of leadership, they disrespect that. Okay, they have no respect for it. They see it as something that is worth, just basically overlooking, and they see it as something that is stupid and foolish. That's what they see in our country. Okay, so they have no respect for us because we are not as hard-handed as their typical leaders. You understand? So whereas here in South Africa, typically a lot of South Africans don't need to be told a lot of things. You understand? Generally, South Africans don't need to be told a lot of things. So generally, South Africans don't need someone to put a heavy hand on them for them to understand. When you hear something being announced on TV by leaders of the country to say, this is what needs to happen in the country, generally South Africans will just go ahead and do whatever it is that needs to be done, unless it's something that is just outright horrible and evil and wrong, just like what's happening right now with this mass immigration issue. You understand? But generally, South Africans will typically do what is right. They don't need to be told to do what is right. You understand? That's not the case with these other people. Other people, particularly the two countries, the two culprits that I've just mentioned here, and there are others as well, Mozambicans and Malawans and all of those. These other people, they don't respond when someone is just announcing and someone is saying something, or just generally on their own. They're just not going to do what is right. if you leave them to themselves, if you give them the kind of freedom that exists here in South Africa, typically what they do is they destroy, and then they are prone towards crime. They've got that proclivity, that inclination towards violence and aggression and hostility, and just even over and above all of that, their culture, their approach is always something that is just, it's abhorrent. It's nothing. And once again, it's not every single person, but majority. You understand? They bring a loss of value to things. Like they I don't know what is it about them and their cultures, but there's just something about them that just brings the value of things down, bring the value of the country down, bring the value of whatever it is that they touch, they bring it down. You understand? So this is how they operate, these people. So we can't coexist with them because we like our freedom and we enjoy having the kind of leadership that allows us to be free. They don't respond that way to what's freedom. They see freedom as the green light for them to actually commit crime. You understand? And a whole lot of crime. And I'm not saying South Africans are the best and they don't commit crime or anything like that. I'm saying majority of South Africans, it's only a few that will do that. Whereas with these other groups, majority of them are inclined towards crime and only a few would want to do the right thing. Do you see the difference in the culture there? This is why we can never coexist. We need nationality. They need to stay in their countries. They need to deal with their own leaders because it works well between the two of them. You understand? So now I'm really closing, okay? And what I wanted to say is that as part of how the matrix operates, because once again, it is what it is. We've got this situation where countries are typically run like businesses, or at least that's how they're supposed to be. And let's face it, we have picked up somewhere somehow that many of these countries are actually registered legal entities. You understand, for whatever reason. But let's just put that aside and just generally just look at how countries are meant to be run. Countries are typically meant to be run like businesses. You understand? And typically, once again, the other stuff about the legal entities and, all the powers that be and the demonic forces and the elites and everything, that's another story for another time. Let's put all of that aside and just generally look at the thing from, the typical, practical, everyday level. So with that being the case, countries being supposedly being run like, businesses or organizations, what that means is that the citizens of the countries are really the shareholders of that country. You understand? And so they are the ones that are actually supposed to be served, by the leadership of the country. All right. And with that being the case, also, that means that whatever decisions that are being made within that country, those decisions should always be prioritizing the citizens of the country and should always be looking to make sure that the country is profitable, the country is succeeding, the country is growing, the country is developing. That should always be the goal and the objective of the leadership of any country. And so one of the ways through which you ensure that the country is growing as it's supposed to be, and you make sure that the country is profitable and all these wonderful things are happening and the interests of the citizens are protected, is that whenever it is that you invite people into the country, typically it needs to be people that are going to add value. And even if you do any charity work, whatever it is that you do, you are not going to do something that, puts the life of the citizens at risk or in any way, causes harm or, disadvantages the citizens. Whatever it is that you're going to do, you're always going to make sure that you are looking after the interests of the citizens. You're going to make sure that you are protecting whatever it is, the resources of the country on behalf of the citizens. That's what you're going to do as the leadership of the country. So it's not about race. It's not about anything. It's about if anyone is going to be coming into our country, it's important to make sure that these people are really here to add value in the country. If they're not adding value to our country, like we have every right to say you cannot come to our country. And if we find that you've been here in our country and you have not been adding any value, we have every right to say, you need to go back to where you come from. Especially if we find that not only are you not adding value, but in fact, you are destructive in the country. We have every right to do that. And I understand very well that when it comes to African nationals, this kind of communication, it goes in ear and goes out the other ear. Because this is one of the reasons why I am saying we can never ever coexist with these people. Because we cannot even agree when it comes to just speaking general communication. Like we cannot even agree. We cannot even see eye to eye. We cannot even hear each other. Because whatever it is that we as the host countries say to these mass immigrants, they always have some kind of a comeback for us. They always have some kind of a comeback. But one thing that's for sure, they refuse. And that's another thing that's foreign to us as South Africans. We as South Africans, we understand very well, you do not stay where you are not wanted. You understand? Like, if you go into someone's house and they kick you out, you don't try and force yourself to stay there. So now what shows that the kind of cultures that we are dealing with here is something completely different and completely foreign to us. These people, it doesn't matter how many times we've been telling them they need to go. No, they'd rather smear our names, tell the whole world that we are xenophobic, post videos about how that we have killed their children because we've refused them access to hospitals. They are not posting videos about what their governments are doing to the extent that they ended up here in South Africa. No, they're not posting that. They're not exposing their governments. They're not doing anything. Their governments get to enjoy nice, soft lives. Their governments get to enjoy, having less citizens to take care of. But we as South Africans, particularly the taxpayers, find ourselves in a situation where we are having to take care of 53 countries in Africa for free, okay? And then, when you start telling them, but you need to go back home now, we can't take care of you anymore. We cannot afford to take care of you anymore. Have you seen how bad the situation is? Have you seen how that majority, like literally about 70% of our population is unemployed? Have you seen that? They don't care, as I said, and they're not going to leave. Instead of leaving, they will just tell the world that we are chasing them and we are evil, but they're not going to leave. Leaving, they're not going to do it. So it's like, what culture is this? What's wrong with these people? Like, what's happening? Are they okay in their minds? Is there a mental health issue here? What's going on here? Because it does not, as I said to you, we will die here in South Africa. We will, and many people have died here. People don't understand how horrible apartheid was. Yeah, I really don't think people understand how horrible apartheid was. But people didn't go and live in other countries. They stayed. They stuck around in South Africa. They didn't run to other countries. And yeah, Africans will say, oh no, we helped you, we helped you. No, we know what you guys did. Many of you killed the refugees, the apartheid refugees. Many of you sold them to, the apartheid government. Many of you chased them away even. Many of you banned them. Many of you were even mistreating them as they were staying in your countries. Today you want to claim rights to say that, you helped us. Fine, you've been here for 30 years. How much more can we give you? What else do you want from us after 30 years? You've been here, you've plundered, you've done everything. What else do you still want from us after 30 years? It's time to go back. It's time to go back. And so let this be a testimony, from an African country to all of you other countries out there, to say, do not ever accept this mass immigration thing. You will regret it. Do not accept it. Refuse with everything that you have. Refuse it. Refuse it. Fight it. Resist it. Push back in whatever form that you can. But do not accept it, because these people are not here to help. They come looking and acting whenever it is that they are confronted by, police or whatever. They always present themselves as victims. Always play the victim card. But there is nothing but evil that they have to dish out. Very, very evil. I've never understood how evil Africans are until I came into contact with this whole mass immigration problem, then I began to these people are evil. These people will literally hang South Africans on the cross rather than holding their own leaders to account. This is the level of evil that we are dealing with. These people have their own home countries. They have their own leaders. Many of them, their countries are at war. And many of them, they keep speaking wonderfully and amazingly about their own countries. How that their countries are this, their countries are giants, their countries are, but they are here in South Africa. And so rather than dealing with whatever issues that they are supposed to deal with in their own countries, they are here in South Africa bullying us. And now they want to say, oh, Britain has blood on their hands. Oh, apartheid people, Afrikaners are evil. White people are foreigners. They are evil. They must leave South Africa. Oh, white Australians are evil. They are foreigners themselves and everything. These Africans are evil. These Africans that we are dealing with here, they are evil. Evil to the core. They say, oh, black on black, you are hating black on black hate. That's what they say. They say we South Africans, we hate other black people. This is black on black hate. Oh, you don't understand. It took us 30 years to see who is killing us. It took us 30 years to see who is harassing us in our country, who is destroying our country. 30 years. We did not understand. The whole time we thought it's the white man. Meanwhile, it's our own black brothers and sisters that are destroying us, including our own leaders. If our leaders are not destroying us deliberately, then they are selling us to the West and other people out there, just like they did even during the slave era. Black people are evil. Africans are very evil. Very, very evil. Evil to the core. You should see the comment section. Even our own South Africans have somehow been recruited into that whole thing as well, of supporting this mass immigration thing. They're talking about, no, we have to be humane towards our fellow Africans. The question is, how humane have they been to us? Coming here, destroying our country and destroying us, destroying our lives. Committing all forms of heinous crimes. Things that we've never known before. Now we are living with fears about things that we never knew existed prior to them coming here. I do beg your pardon. So, yeah, I think that's us closing here. That's us ending this whole. I just needed to vent because I feel a little bit frustrated by spiritual people that begin to start and spiritualize this whole thing. And even some of these South Africans that I hear talking about, oh no, be humane, you must have empathy. Where's empathy? Some of you have children. Are you not a mother? Why would you let a mother not go into a clinic? Are you not and I'm thinking, but do you understand here that where we are right now, where things have gotten right now, we are at a point where you have no choice. It's either a South African gets medication, or a foreigner gets medication. That's where we are. We are not at a point where everyone gets to have it anymore. There used to be a time where we could all have it. That time is gone. Medications are being stolen here in South Africa, and they're being, smuggled into Zimbabwe, and all of those things that are being sold. We now no longer, we have a huge shortage of everything. So it's either when you have two patients coming into the hospital, and one of them is a South African and another one is a foreign national, there's always that situation where only one of them is going to get served. So now, do you want the South African mother not to be served just so that the foreign national can also be served? In whose country? That South African, they themselves are probably paying tax. Their relatives and all of they are paying tax. The foreign national left his government scot-free to go ahead and be whatever it is that they want to be, do whatever it is that they want to do. I'm telling you, this foreign nationals, their leaders are all living a soft life. They're enjoying themselves. They are living like lavishly whilst their people are suffering. And we, as South African taxpayer, have to carry that load, that burden on our shoulders. All of us, we know that relative that would rather look great and amazing while their children are starving. What do we say about that relative? Do we just be like, oh, okay, yeah, whatever? Let our children starve and let's give this person's children food, or are we going to call this person to account? Are we going to force this person to take care of their own children? So let everyone go back home, deal with their own issues in their own countries, and then when they come here, let it be for a visit. And honestly, even those visits and all, we don't want them anymore. We don't want them anymore. Like literally, we need a break. We need people to go back to their countries and give us at least maybe 10 years of a break. Okay, whilst we just sort ourselves out as a country, and then they can, we can decide afterwards whether we want them to visit or not. But for now, we really just want to be left alone as a country. And so, yeah, that's all I wanted to say. I'm looking forward to getting rid of this government of ours, because, as I said, I've been sleeping and I have not been aware of the level of horrors that this government has been, unleashing on its citizens. So I'm really excited. I'm looking forward to this government being gone, being done away with, and I'm looking forward to the country being restored. And I'm also looking forward to other countries winning this battle against mass immigration. I'm looking forward to countries resolving whatever issues that, people might be having, and real legitimate issues. I'm really looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to immigrants going back to their own countries and, addressing whatever issues that they have with their own leaders. Because this whole thing of just coming and dumping your own issues here in South Africa is absolute nonsense. Coming here and committing violence against South Africans. Meanwhile, your own government gets, to walk away scot-free with all the horrors that they are committing against you as its citizens. That's absolutely not fair. Thank you so much for spending time with me on this transmission. Until next time, goodbye.